myself. I fear I am writing this requiem for myself. Those are Mozart's dying words, 15 days on his sick bed, vomiting, nausea, diarrhea, severe swelling, every ailment you can think of. Mozart was dying from kidney failure. The movie Amadeus, many may be familiar with that, the Academy Award winning film. It took a lot of license, to say the least, with Mozart's life. No, he was not a poor man. No, Mozart had a great deal of income that came in from many of his compositions. These were all commissioned works, including the Requiem. And Mozart also was, despite what many have seen from the movie, was a very shrewd negotiator financially. He just spent a lot of money. He was a high-living guy. But, and he was not murdered by Antonio Salieri. He died in his bed after 15 days of kidney failure. It's a fun movie. It was an enjoyable movie. And so we just say, enjoy it for what it is. But like any other movie, it's just that, a movie. At the time of Mozart's death, on December 5th, 1791, only the first movement, the Introitus, or the Requiem Aeternum, was completed in all of the orchestral and vocal parts, in other words, intact. However, it's also another myth that Mozart just left all these scattered papers and notes, and someone had to come in and reconstruct it. Not totally. The Kyrie, the sequence, the offertorium, they were completed in a skeleton form, so enough was there to flesh it out. But in addition to that, you had, with the exception of the famed Lacrimosa, which breaks off after the first 8 bars, the vocal parts, because it's a mixed choir with a soprano, an alto, a tenor, and a bass backed up by the choir, they were all fully notated. So there's much mythology about the Requiem, and much of it propagated by the movie, but nonetheless, it is what it is. There's 8 parts to the Requiem. You have the Introitus, the Kyrie, the Sequentia, the Offertorium, the Sanctus, the Benedictus, the Agnus Dei, and the Communio. In each one of them, they convey a particular mood. And so, for example, the Sanctus, heavenly, upward, because the Requiem is about, at the end of the day, about death and transition, and what, if you believe in an afterlife, comes afterwards. In the Catholic tradition, the Requiem is always a sacred mass, and it's a devotional to the departed, to the dead. And there have been many Requiems by major composers that, of course, have taken off on that theme. You have the different movements and different keys. You have the Andante, Larghetto. The Andante is slow, measured, as you can hear here, very deliberate. The Adagio, again, even slower, much more deliberate. And you have also point and counterpoint. In this case, the point and counterpoint, which is one theme that runs through a particular passage or section of a work, and where you have, in this case, the soloist. You have a tenor and you have an alto. You have them, and it's all in Latin, by the way, which all the masses were in that era, in the 18th century. You have a point of music, and then you have the counterpoint. It's a theme being played back again and again, sometimes bent, sometimes broken, sometimes always changed, sometimes reconceptualized, but always the same theme. A discerning ear can hear that theme. And you hear it here, and the beauty of the Requiem, it's done in 2 ways. One, as you can hear the violins carrying the theme, that's the first and the second violins in the back. That's what you're hearing. And then if you listen closely, and you don't have to listen that closely, you will hear coming back, boom. Now it's picked up. We're coming out of the Adagio. We're coming now into the Allegro. The tempo picks up, much more force, much more strength. And now it's almost like a triumphal move or motion downward. and then it drops back down, another mood, almost a heavenly mood, a celestial mood, brought in by the female, the sopranos and the altos, the female section of the choir, because the mood here is a celestial mood. And then you hear, boom, the basso continuos and the tenors coming in. That's their point, counterpoint, and they're bringing in another dramatic mood. So if you can envision someone in the transition from life to death, they're going through the passage of eternity, and that's what you hear in the Requiem, and that's the beauty of that. And also, there are many different keys. Mozart, even though it's in D minor, that's the major key, you have each of the 8 sections, they have their own key. F major, D minor, G minor, D major, B major, B minor. Each one of them conveys, the keys, by the way, are important because that sets not only the pacing, the mood, the sound, and most importantly, which you hear the tone and the color of it. So Mozart changed keys in each one of the 8 sections, all the way from the introitus, all the way to the last of the 8, the Comunio, the Mozart Requiem. So that was just a little bit of a thumbnail sketch, an overview of the Mozart Requiem in D minor. And if you happen to be listening to KPFK 98.7 or our stream at kpfk.org, do yourself a favor. The beauty, the power, the joy of the Mozart Requiem, we're playing it, it's in entirety. And the beauty of it is, it doesn't get any better. The Academy of St. Martin in the Field, directed by the famed Sir Neville Mariner, the Mozart Requiem in D, on Classical Composers and Compositions, with yours truly, Earl Ofari Hutchinson.